Hello there, welcome back to the second video this week for Duskmourn, and yeah, we have a new card type in Duskmourn. We've all seen the room enchantments, and there is only one thing we need to do with this now, and that's to cover it. So, there could only be one commander for that set of cards, Marina Vendrell. Wooburg, for human warlock, 3/5. Okay. And when Marina enters, reveal the top 7 cards of your library, put all enchantment cards from among them into your hand, and the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. And then you can tap her to go lock or unlock a door of target room you control, activate only to sorcery. That's a bit of a downside, you have to do it in your turn. But we get a whole load of enchantments in our hand, and then we get to play let's lock or unlock the doors as things go along, shall we? So, hey. Had to try them out. I missed trying out dungeons when dungeons hit a while back. The video I did back then did eventually pick up some views here on YouTube, but for now I figured nope, not going to miss out on a new card type. Let's hit Marina. So here we go. This is what today's deck looks like. Now what I will say is I've actually managed to include quite a few of the new Duskmourn cards in here, so they're there, and the rooms, as you might have seen in yesterday's video, come up in a funny way, so I'll try and go through them if you don't know them, so bear with me, this video may be a bit long today. So, starting at the beginning, Balemerk Leech, common from Duskmourn. Whenever an enchantment you control enters, or whenever you fully unlock a room, each opponent loses 1 life. Okay, 2/2 that drains life, cope with that. Dockside's here because we really do need the treasures to help cast all the stuff we've got going on. Gremlin Tamer comes in as well from Duskmourn. Uncommon enchantment comes into play, so I'm just going to say it's got the eerie ability. It's basically all based around enchantments. Or you unlock a room, you get a 1/1 Gremlin creature token. And then we've got some of the things you would expect to see as well coming through from enchantment lands. So the first one, Herald of the Pantheon. Enchantment spells cost 1 less, you gain a life when you cast one. Inquisitive Glimmer comes in from Duskmourn. Drops the cost of our enchantments, and more importantly drops the unlock costs of doors as we come in, so we're not going to complain too loudly. Jukai Naturalist, lifelink and reducing the cost of our enchantments. Skull Snap Nuisance comes in from Duskmourn as well. It's got the eerie and you get to surveil 1 in this case, which does help you need to get through a landlock. Starfield Mystic drops the cost of enchantments. When they go to the graveyard it gets bigger, you know this. Auramancer's in to return an enchantment card from our graveyard to our hand. Entity Tracker comes in, has the eerie ability which gives us a card draw, and it has flash, which is quite interesting, so you haven't got to run this out on turn 3. You can wait until the opponents before yours end phase in command and then play it in, so you can use your mana kind of efficiently, I suppose. Erratic Apparition gets +1/+1 when enchantments enter, and it's got flying and vigilance, so 2/4, 3/5, 4/6, etc. Fear of Infinity has flying and lifelink, and then when eerie triggers, you get to return this from your graveyard to your hand. It can't block, but it's a 2/2 with flying and lifelink, so it's not the end of the world anyway. It's quite good. Sessian Champion, it gets bigger, gone for a bit of constellation abilities as well, so +1/+1 counters in card draw. Starharm Courser cuts the cost down again. Unwilling Vessel from Duskmourn. Whenever an enchantment you control enters, put a possession counter on the Unwilling Vessel, and when the Unwilling Vessel dies, you create an X blue spirit creature token with flying, where X is the number of counters on it. So maybe a 1/1, 2/2, 3/3, or even bigger, depending how lucky you've been. Victor, Valgavoth's Essential is also in. This I am actually going to cover in depth in their own deck later in the week. Maybe tomorrow, maybe Thursday, probably Thursday. But yeah, Victor's very good in this deck as well, just for the whole 3 triggers. If you can trigger 3 things, you're going to be up and away with this deck. I especially like the reanimation side of it to bring back anything that's already been killed off. Ajani's Chosen gives us cat tokens, we all know this. Archon of Sun's Grace gives us Pegasus tokens. And then Neva, Stalked by Nightmares, another way of returning enchantments from our graveyard to our hand. And then whenever we do lose an enchantment, someone disenchants it. +1/+1 counter and a bit of a scry. So not too bad with Neva, especially since she's got Menace as well. Keitha, Hand of Erebos, also makes an enchantment. Whenever it enters the battlefield, we can exile up to one target non-aura creature card, enchantment card from our graveyard, and get a 3/3 that's a copy of it. So it gives us a little bit of reanimation and gives everything menace, which is nice with some of the enchantment creatures we do have. Kind of missing, but there's a couple. Yeah, nothing too fancy like this one. But yeah, giving something menace may help. Ghostly Dancers also comes in from our brand new set. Enters, return an enchantment card from your graveyard to your hand, or unlock a locked door of a room you control, which is nice. However, the Eerie ability, whenever you cast an enchantment or you fully unlock a door, you get a 3/1 white spirit creature token with flying. This will produce you an army quite quickly, and it is a very tempting thing for one of the things I'm thinking about, where we go for pure mono white enchantments, and this would be a key card in it if we ever get around to doing that deck. Parika's Mender just returns a graveyard creature or enchantment card from our graveyard to our hand, so it made sense to have this in as well, even if it's a little bit expensive and doesn't do a lot. It's basically a 4/3 vanilla once it's entered the play, abilities triggered, but can't complain. And then really did add this at the last minute because I realised how good it could be in here. Wild Seer, the Scouring Maw. Now, I covered this a while back from Bloomborough, as you're aware, but having him in here to have all our enchantment spells have Cascade just seemed like a no-brainer. It really did. You're probably wondering why we have a battle in here, mainly because I wanted the Leyline Surge in the deck just to put a permanent card from our hand onto the battlefield, so that's nice. And then it does, returning up to 3 permanent cards does have its uses in this deck, so we went with the battle and hopefully we can kill it off and get it flipped over to the Surge at some stage. Ramp wise, we haven't gone too heavy. Starseek, Nature's Law, 3 visits, Ranger Path, and Sky Shroud Claim are all here because obviously we have a lot of lands coming up that have forest types. I've also snuck in Replenish. On MTGO this isn't too bad. In real life it's one of the cards that pumps the cost of this deck up, so if you have one, great. You can replace it for one of the higher casting cost ones if you want to, but be warned, it'll be a lot more difficult to cast than having a 4 mana spell do all your enchantment return for you. Artifacts, a bit more ramp. Tantalite, Talisman, Amulet of Vigour, because we do have quite a few things that come into play tapped, and having to come into play untapped does help. You'll see why in a minute. Elixir of Immortality is here again. Soul Ring, Arcane Signet, and then a couple of things to help us out a bit more. Cloud Key, just so we can make the enchantments cost even less, which is fine by me. And then a little bit, you probably could go heavier on this, but I went with a little bit for Marina. So I've got Mage Rites Stone, and I've also got 1000-Year Elixir, because then we can just untap things and go with it. Maybe have these in play Marina, get 3 locks or unlocks going Marina. Could be useful. Enchantments is where it gets funky. All of these, there's only 2 non-room enchantments in the deck, and I've picked the 20 rooms I think are most applicable to Commander. Please let me know in the comments down below if you disagree. But the 2 non-enchantment cards I have, well, 3 non-enchantment cards I have picked in, sorry. So there's 19 rooms, I can't count, apologies. Greater Auramancy to protect them. Does give us a bit of a backside, the fact that we can't target them if we have Marina in play, but sometimes you will just be having them sit there do nothing. So I'm trying it out. I'm not convinced by Greater Auramancy, if I'm being honest, but I wanted some way of protecting some of our stuff, so this may be coming out very quickly because Sterling Grove is that much better, because that will actually allow us to sack things off to go and find an enchantment that we need. Yes, it does give everything Shroud again, which hurts Marina, but it does help sometimes. The other card, Privileged Position, other permanents you control have hexproof, is a key one. At least you can still target everything and then with Marina. But these 2 I'm testing out to see if it's worthwhile playing them. I've got a feeling these will be dropped as soon as possible from the deck. But for now, I'm a bit concerned about losing too many of our enchantments. So they're in. Not quite sure. Sterling Grove's okay. Greater Auramancy, probably going to be coming out, but I'm trying it. Bear with me. We'll let you know. I'll do an update on the blurb for the video if I take them out of what I've replaced them with. But let's get to the fun stuff and look at the room, shall we? Defiled Crypt. Whenever one or more cards you leave your graveyard, get a 2/2 zombie. Triggers once a turn, but when you unlock this door, return target creature card from your graveyard to your hand. So basically, play the defiled crypt side first. Then if you've got a creature in the graveyard you need to get back, pay the black on the next turn to fully unlock it, or use Marina to fully unlock it there and then to get something from your graveyard back to your hand. I'm looking at you, Dockside Extortionist. Painter's Studio in the Defaced Gallery. Unlock this door, you exile top 2 cards you can play until the end of your next turn. And then whenever you attacking creatures you control get +1/+0 until the end of the turn. Yeah, I'll go with that. That's pretty nice with all our little flyers we have going on. Surgical Suite brings back target creature card mana value 3 or less from a graveyard to the battlefield, and then whenever you can attack, put a +1/+1 counter on attacking creature. So Surgical Suite and the hospital room are nice. Central Elevator, whenever you unlock it in the first time, for this elevator part of it, that doesn't have, search your library for a room card. I've got to read this, I can't remember this is one, yeah. Search for a room card that doesn't have the same name as a room you control, which you won't do, so you can always go and find one, and put it in your hand, and then at the beginning of your upkeep, surveil one. You win the game if there are 8 or more different names amongst unlocked doors of rooms you control. So backup win condition, get all your rooms unlocked, which is why I have kept in these two, even though I'm not sure about them. That is the only reason they are here, the promising stairs. Anyway, Greenhouse makes all our lands tap for any colour, and then whenever we unlock it fully, we mill 4 and we turn up to 2 permanent cards from them to our hand. Polluted Cistine, whenever 1 or more cards are put into your graveyard from your library, each opponent loses 1 life for each card type among those cards, and whenever you unlock this door, mill 3 cards, and then return a creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. Roaring Furnace, it's come up on the horrible version. Whenever you unlock this door, you can go through it. I'm trying to read it sideways now. I really need to find a way to do this properly, sorry. Thought of a way to do it easier, sorry for the disruption. Right, Roaring Furnace, whenever you unlock this door, it deals damage equals number of cards in your hand to an opponent. To a creature an opponent controls, you have no maximum hand size, and at the beginning of your end step, draw a card. So, that one. Smoky Lounge gives us a Soul Ring effect for the red side. But at the beginning of our main phase we get 2 red. We can only spend it to cast rooms or unlock doors, and then whenever you unlock a door, whenever you do the Misty Saloon side, you get an XX blue spirit creature token with flying, where X is the number of unlocked doors amongst rooms you control. Dollmaker's Shops I talked about in yesterday's video. When we attack with non-toy creatures we get toys for 1/1s, and then if we do the Porcelain Gallery, all our creatures have base power and toughness equals the number of creatures we control. Glassworks gives us removal for a creature with toughness 4 or less, and then if we do the Shattered Yard at the beginning of your end step, this room deals 1 damage to each opponent, so a little bit of repetitive damage if we need it. The Meat Locker lets us put a stun counter, tap a creature and then stun a creature and put 2 stun counters on it, and then the Drowned Diner, whenever we unlock this door we get to draw 3 and then discard 1. The Spike Corridor in the first place gives us 3 devil tokens that ping people when they die, and then the Torture Pit, if a source you control would deal non-combat damage to an opponent, it deals that much damage plus 2 instead, so a bit of a Torbrand type effect going on with that one to a certain extent. This one a little bit of a challenge. The Unholy Annex, at the beginning of your end step, draw a card. If you control a demon, each opponent loses 2 life and you gain 2 life, otherwise you lose 2 life. But the Ritual Chamber lets us unlock it and give us a 6/6 demon. Not sure which way around you want to do it, depends how desperate you are for the card draw, to be perfectly honest, so we'll see how it goes. But I would imagine it'll be Ritual Chamber followed by the Unholy Annex most of the time. The Walk-In Closet lets us play any land cards from our graveyard, and then when we unlock it we may cast spells from our graveyard that turn. Anything that goes in our graveyard that turn though then goes to exile instead of our graveyard, so be careful. When we unlock the Mouldering Gym we get to go and get basic and put in our hat, put into our battlefield, tap, then shuffle, and whenever we unlock the door, the other side, we get to Manifest Dread. So look at the top 2 cards, one goes into play face down, one goes into your graveyard. The one that comes into play face down gets 3 +1/+1 counters on it, so it goes from a 2/2 to a 5/5. So yeah, just try and, it's more useful if it's a creature than anything else, so bear that in mind. This card, however, I had in my pre-release on Friday night. The Charred Foyer beginning of your upkeep, exile top card of your library. You may play it this turn, and then once you unlock it into the warp space, you get to play any card that's been exiled for 0. 0, absolute 0. Brilliant, loved it. Really did, you know, the game, even though I went 1-1 before I fell asleep and dropped, I went 2-1 in both my games, and this is the card that won me all 4 games. Well, all 3 of the games, I should say. So, you know, yeah, 2-1 in the first one, 1-2 in the second one. But the 3 games I won were basically off the back of this. It's fantastic. Loved it, no end. Really good card. Expect to see this turn up in a lot of decks that involve exiling stuff in the future, if purely for the warp space, if not the charred foyer. Cramped Fence is lovely, 6 damage to a target creature an opponent controls, and then you gain life for the XX damage. So what you're really hoping is your opponent's got a 0 or a X1 in play. This deals 6 damage to it, you gain 5 life. Nice little thing. And the Access Maze, once during each of your turns you may cast a spell from your hand by paying life equal to its mana value rather than its mana cost. A little bit tricky in this deck, but not the worst thing to have as a backup way of casting your stuff. And finally, the Restricted Office. When you unlock this door, destroy all creatures with a power of 3 or greater, and then the Lecture Hall really is one of the cards that may mean that these 2 can vanish quite happily, because it gives every permanent we have hexproof apart from itself. But with Privilege Suite in play, this and this means that all your enchantments are protected, so it's pretty good from that point of view. Right, that just leaves me with the lands to talk about. Unsurprisingly, there are a lot of search lands, so they're all here. We have 1 of each of them in. We have a lot of the comes into lands come into untap as long as you've got 2 or more opponents. Command Towers here, Field of the Dead's here because I need to get some more creatures out. But then we do have all of the, well, triomes, or whatever you want to call them. I don't know why they weren't called triomes when they came in Streets of New Capenna. Well, I do, because it doesn't fit the game, but you know. But they're all here. We have 1 of each of them in here. Like I said, we do have 1 of each of basics, so we can go and find the basics if we need to. We aren't playing Temple of the False God, and we aren't playing Reliquary Tower, be warned about this. But what we are playing is the World Tree, just to help us make sure we can smooth our mana out to play anything we've got. The World Tree is really nice in this deck. As long as we have 6 or more lands in play, it means that when we draw our sack lands like Verdant Catacombs, they can just stay in play and just tap for mana of any colour, which really does save us a little bit of life. But that's it. As I said, a little bit of a long video today, but it is all the room stuff that we need to look at and go through. I hope, sorry for the first few rooms, wasn't using my brain. Thank you for the wonderful World of Scryfall for having all the cards already there, so I can just go and type them in and look at them properly. But I think Marina's going to be fun to play. I hope we do see some more rooms in the future, a bit like we did with the dungeons. I think she'll be around for a while. Again, is she strong? No, probably not. You probably could also include, you know, if you take out Great War Romancer and Sterling Grove, you can put in things like Swiftfoot Boots and Lava Spurt Boots to make sure she has haste and can do things that way. If you haven't got the other 2 in, you could probably go down the whole let's make all the triggered abilities have haste. There are ways of doing it, but I think this is a good starting point. I think the 19 rooms I've picked out are probably going to be the stronger ones in Commander. Going forward for the time being, until someone breaks something and I realise I made a mistake. So let me know in the comments down below what you think I've missed out. If there's a room I should have included that isn't here, or if there's a room card that I haven't included, one of the creatures maybe. I am looking forward to playing this one on stream. This is going to be a lot of fun, one feels, so I'm hoping it will be good when we get around to playing it on stream. But for now, thank you for watching. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't before. Really appreciate it, you helping me out. 517 as I record this one today, so you know, keep edging upwards. I'm really still happy I made 500, so that's great. But for now, thanks for watching, take care, and I'll see you in the next video tomorrow. Bye.